So let's say you get a commercial cleaning quote request and it needs to be done fast. They're wanting a price. Now you're wanting to win the facility. How can you quote it quickly without going through a really in-depth, complicated process? In this video, you're gonna get 2 ways to quote facilities very quickly. And these 2 methods will work even if you're just now starting your commercial cleaning company or if you've been in residential and you're converting to commercial. So by the end of this video, you'll be able to take a look at almost any facility and within 30 seconds, be able to have a number in mind that you can put out there to win the deal. If you don't know who I am, my name is Matt. I built a multi-million-dollar commercial cleaning company from scratch, and I teach you how to do the exact same thing. As a quick disclaimer, I'm very blessed to have an incredible team, and we do thank God for our results here. Okay, so now let's dive in. The first thing we need to know is we need to avoid a very specific mistake, and it's a very tempting mistake to make when quoting a facility. And that mistake is simply trying to go with a price per square foot that we apply in almost all scenarios. If you go to Google and you type in, what should I charge as a price per square foot for cleaning an office? Google's going to try to get you that answer, and anyone else you talk to is going to tell you what it is in their market and what their price per square foot is in their market. And you're going to find out that the price per square foot rate actually changes per market. Now, what that also doesn't mean is that some markets are priced really high and therefore much more profitable or priced really low. Actually, the profitability is about all the same across all markets. The difference is that labor costs in specific markets can vary widely. For example, I've seen in some markets like out in Utah where you can hire office cleaners for $13 an hour. Whereas here in Asheville, we are hiring anywhere around $16 an hour. Whereas if you go up to Boston, you're looking at paying $23, $25 to $30 an hour. And so what that means is that the price per square foot in all these different places is going to be so different. You compare Utah and Boston's going to be almost 3 times the price per square foot as Utah would be. Now, the good news with this is once you do have a gauge on what the price per square foot generally is in your market, then you can use it in your formulas to get a very quick answer. All right, but the point of this video is you don't know what your price per square foot is, so how can you go about getting these quotes done really quick? Well, here is the first method. All that you need to do, whether it's on your appointment set or if it's during the walkthrough or at some point during the conversation, you simply just need to ask them, what's going on in your facility right now? Who all's coming? How many of them are there? How long are they there? And what happens whenever you get the answers to those questions is they're going to tell you exactly what you need to know. How many people for how long, which is going to get you the total man hours, as we call it, for a single cleaning. Now that you have those man hours, you can simply apply your hourly rate to that, and we'll go over how to find your man hours in this video as well, and then you can work that into your monthly price. Now, an important caveat with that method, even though it is so quick, is that most likely you're talking to that prospect because they're unhappy with their current results. So what you don't want to do is stick yourself in the same situation with the same amount of resources that's being applied by the predecessor. So in general, I find it good practice to whatever man hours that they tell you, I would add about 10 to 20% to those and then go with a price off of that. And if for some reason that client isn't totally on board with the price that you're quoting there, you do have a little bit more flexibility to work with. Okay, so that's the first method. The second method is going to be, what if we can't get a good idea from the man hours and we're actually going to do a site visit, or they're going to send us some information that we're going to review. And as a quick note on this, if a client is only sending you information, you're not allowed to walk through the facility, that is pretty risky as far as your pricing goes because you can't confirm all the finer details. So I would encourage you to err on the high side if you are going to accept a situation like that and still submit a quote. Okay, so in this method, you've got 2 steps that you really need to take care of. That first step is going to be getting a block measurement, as I call it. So if you're having to be rushed through this building, which is not a favorable scenario by any means, or they're sending you the info, all that you need is a single square footage measurement. So in the easiest case scenario, it's a square building or a rectangle or something easy to measure, and you simply get a full length and a full width using a laser measure or something like this whenever you do it. Or they send you the measurements over email or through a schematic they send. And to be honest, the schematics typically overestimate square footage because they include things like wall space, and it's not taking out things like desks and things like that. So if they send you something like that, you might want to reduce the square footage by about 10 to 15%. If they say it's a 10,000 square foot facility, well, maybe it's really around 8,500 or 9,000 square feet that you're really going to be cleaning. And that's really important to try to get a good grasp on what the actual square footage is that you are going to be cleaning, because the next step is going to be how many square feet per hour are you able to clean, or is your team able to clean? Now, if you're not as experienced in the commercial cleaning industry, then here are the three main categories or buckets that I have in my mind whenever breaking out which speed should I apply to this facility. The first speed is just simply the fast speed, and this is about 3,000 to 4,000 square feet per hour. The facilities that fall into this category are typically general office spaces. So you're looking at spaces like professional offices, so lawyers, real estate offices, insurance offices, financial advisors, executive office buildings, things like that. Typically with a lot of office space, there's nothing different going on other than administrative duties. That's going to be your general 3,000 to 4,000 square feet per hour rate. And as a side note on how to use these square footage speeds, all that you do is you divide the total cleanable square footage by the speed. So if we have 9,000 square feet that we're having to clean and we're moving at a speed of 4,000 square feet per hour, that's going to take whoever's cleaning it 2.25 hours. Now you might be thinking that's really fast. And yeah, that is very fast, because if this administrative space isn't one that has a lot of public traffic coming into it, maybe there's not as many employees, they're just all spread out throughout this space, and the scope of work is more weekly. So if you're having to, if you have a large rotational list, right? So this section of the office is completely cleaned once a week, and then we're going to be sure that this section is done on this day of the week. But then maybe just the bathrooms and the main walkways are done every day, right? It only takes maybe an hour or an hour and a half to do those, but then these weekly sets of tasks, they might take another hour or so, right? Because you're not having to clean the entire space every single day. That's how you're able to clean a 9,000 square foot space or take care of one at 4,000 square feet per hour. So you've got your low end of 3,000, your high end of 4,000 for this fast lane or this fast cleaning speed, and that's going to give you the amount of hours, which then you can apply your hourly rate to. And so when you're looking at our next category, which is a medium square foot per hour speed, that's going to be cleaning from about 2,000 square feet per hour on the slower end up to around 3,000 square feet per hour on the higher end. And the distinguishing factor for these types of facilities is they're generally a higher use facility for the public. So they have a lot more people coming in on a constant basis. So you're looking at things like doctor's offices, medical centers. You're also looking at things like daycares and educational facilities, even things like car dealerships. They have a lot more coming in and using the restrooms and dirtying up the place throughout the day. And so let's look back at our situation of a 10,000 square foot building where we're actually cleaning 9,000 square feet of it. If you take that 9,000 square feet and divide it by 2,000 square feet per hour, you're looking at it taking 4.5 hours instead of 2 hours and 15 minutes. So same space, but you probably got more bathrooms, dirtier bathrooms, more people coming in from the public. It's less administrative and more of a highly utilized space. And when you look at their scope of work, there's a lot more areas that are being done daily. So whereas in the administrative style offices and the executive buildings, you had maybe just like the walkways being done daily in the bathrooms. Well, in this scenario for the medium, you're looking at having the exam rooms probably done daily, but you're not maybe doing the entire exam room every single day, right? Maybe their staff handle the counters. Maybe all that you're doing is the floors, the sinks, and restocking some supplies. So that's the medium speed. What about the slow speed? Well, the slow speed, you're looking at typically anywhere from about 1,000 square feet per hour to 2,000 square feet per hour. It's very, very rare to get down to 1,000 square feet per hour in any commercial facility, unless you're doing something like terminal cleaning, which is really closer to 200 square feet per hour, but that's a whole different scenario. So what you're typically looking at on the slow speed is around 1,300 square feet per hour or 1,500 square feet per hour at the slowest end, and then up to around that 2,000. Now you might ask, well, what really makes something a slower category where we have to spend so much more time there because we can't move as fast? Let me give you a real scenario from our commercial cleaning company. We have a client that's 11,000 square feet. It's a medical office. So you would think, okay, it's going to be around that medium category. But wait, this 11,000 square foot medical office has 50 employees in it inside of 11,000 square feet. They see hundreds of patients every day. They have about 30 exam rooms that are all used every single day. And they have about 15 bathrooms throughout that facility. When you think about a facility being utilized to its maximum capacity, that is this building. And so anytime you're at a facility and it seems like they are really pushing the thresholds of what can happen inside this facility, the bathrooms are constantly going to be bombed every single time that you're there. The exam rooms need a complete clean every single day. There's very little things that are on the weekly rotation. You are really having to take care of this thing, make it spotless every single night. That's when you're looking at the slower speeds. So to put this together, you either get that block measurement using a laser measurer, or they tell you the square footage and you adjust it downward a little bit to account for wall space and things like that. And then you determine, is this based on the scope of work I'm seeing, how much of it's being done weekly? If there's a lot being done weekly, you can like section certain whole parts of the office off, and then maybe there's a little bit being done every single day, like walkways and bathrooms. That's going to be on the faster speed if it's an administrative type of facility. Then your medical ones, right? Your daycares, dealerships, higher use, public use type spaces. That's where you're going to be looking at that range within the medium speed of 2,000 to 3,000 square feet per hour. And then if you have any facility that's bursting at the seams, that is absolutely packed with people, they seem to really be pushing the edge of what they can do, that's when you think of it as a slower speed facility. Now, what you can also do is you can get your range, right? Because you're going to take that speed that you get, and then you can get the low end, the high end, and you'll get more and more used to it. And you can start making your range a little tighter. You're like, well, maybe this one's going to be around 2,500 square feet per hour instead of 3,000, right? And you can get more and more accurate. But what you can do is you can get the range and then go off of that range whenever you apply your hourly rate to the speed. And that's going to give you the price, and you can determine from there, does that price seem to make sense for that facility? And a quick side note, if you're coming from the residential world or the construction cleaning world, you have to know that commercial cleaning speeds are so much faster. You might be surprised to hear that a slow commercial cleaning rate, at the very slowest, is around 1,000 square feet per hour, because that will be fast for many house cleaners. So for you residential owners who want commercial, this will help you recalibrate yourself. Now, the simplest way to find your hourly rate that you can apply to this and find your monthly price from that is just take your hourly wage that you're going to pay anyone in your company at the starting level. Don't take your higher end, what can I promote someone up to, right? Because they're going to be more efficient at those levels. They're going to earn themselves that extra wage. You want to start, what am I starting my baseline cleaners at? And then multiply that by 2. So if you're starting your cleaners at $15 per hour, you can start off with an hourly rate of about $30 per hour. So now it applies to a simple scenario. Let's take a 10,000 square foot facility. Let's say we're going to clean all of it, all 10,000 square feet. We're going to be in there, it's going to be a medium speed one. So we're going to take 2,000 square feet per hour. So that's going to take 5 hours per day to clean. We're going to put our hourly rate on that. So $30 per hour times 5 is going to be $150 per day. Now, all that we do from that point, from that $150 a day, is figure out how many days per month we're going to be cleaning. My favorite way to do this is to multiply it by the days per week. So that would be 5 days per week. So that'd be 150 times 5, which is $750 per week. And then how many weeks in a month? This is the mistake some owners make. You got to make sure that you multiply it by 4.33, because every once in a while there's an extra week in a month and you don't want to miss or clean for free for that week. So 4.33 times 750. That's going to give you approximately $3,250 per month. And so really what it just boils down to is knowing how long it's going to take. You're either going to find it out from the client, or you're going to deduce it from our buckets of square feet per hour speeds. And then you apply your hourly rate to it, and that's how you get your price. Now, like I said, this video is all about how to provide quotes in as soon as 30 seconds, or to figure out your price very quickly. But if you want to be able to do precise quotes where you don't miss the mark, where you don't overprice and lose the opportunity, or underprice and then be sorry that you want it, then check out the links down below where you can get the full system on how to quote accurately. Now, if you're not ready to install 7-figure growth systems into your commercial cleaning company just yet, then you can go watch this video where I show you how to walk through one of our free quote calculators out there that can also help you accurately quote your accounts. Thanks so much for watching. My name is Matt, your 7-figure commercial cleaning CEO, and until next time, keep building.